Blessings, blessings. Thanks for joining back in. Tell somebody else to come on live with us. Today, we are so glad. Thank you for those who, hey Tika, those of you who came back on right away. Thank you. It always waits so it's time for us to talk to you after.
Blessings, Shanae. Blessings,
Hey Shay.
Tika.
Thanks for joining back in. Hey Elder Patrice.
Hey, daughter. Blessings to everyone that's coming in.
Elder Patrice, are you able to get on the Loving the MIC page? So Apostle and I can see you from my page, but the rest of the audience cannot. It's up to you. You don't have to. I was just asking. Shay, we've had better days, but God has kept us alive, so we dare not complain. Don't want you guys to miss this. This is so dear to our hearts. It is very important. Very important. People's lives matter. And sometimes they just need to hear somebody else say it other than them. Sometimes, the scriptures say you got to encourage yourself, but there are some who feel like they the only ones encouraging themselves anyway, which is more reason why they don't want to be around. I'm not going to jump ahead. I'm going to listen. As the bestest bestie ever, the good Queen Wyatt is going to share some things with you all on grief and the holidays, and then we'll come back in and out and talk about things we have going on.
Hello, everyone. Invite somebody that you may know that is going through a difficult time. So, when I was in prayer this evening at my 5 o'clock time, that was one of the things that dropped in my spirit because a lot of people are going through grief um, around this time. Excuse me. Around this time of the holidays, um, people that are no longer with you, that are usually with you for the holidays, that you may call up and say, hey, I'm at the store. Would you think so and so would like this? Or what are you cooking this holiday? Or how are you feeling? Those people, yes, you are, Elder Catrice. Those people that you normally socialize with, you can no longer do it. Holidays include any special day. It doesn't just have to be Christmas. It could be a birthday, it could be Thanksgiving, whatever that special holiday is. It could be especially difficult for people who have experienced death of someone dear to them. It is often a time when the experiences feelings of loss is the heaviest. If this is your first holiday season without your loved one, be prepared for the holiday to feel different than it has been in the past. As holidays approach, you may experience a sense of dreadfulness. Wish you didn't have to face the arrival of the holidays, rather than anticipating the feel of joy. You may feel increased pain and all of a sudden sadness associated with memories of your loved one, even if it was recent, or no matter how long ago it was. And so those are some things that we face. It doesn't matter how long ago a loved one have died. It could be 10 or 10 years, 2 years, 1 day, 2 days. Grief is grief. But as the years go on, we still shouldn't be grieving the same way we did when they first died, because each year is supposed to get better and better. See, your mom would have been celebrating her birthday, so that's why I said not only is it Christmas, it could be a birthday, it could be any holiday. But what I have learned as going through my time of grief is I don't let it take me to a place where I can't enjoy who's around me, or what's around me or what's happening around me. Yeah, you could grieve. Yeah, you could go through. Yeah, you're going to feel it, but you still have to engage with those that are around you. Even though you're hurting, you don't want them to feel like you don't appreciate them or their presence is not important. Okay, so we're going to talk about some tips of coping with grief. Some tips of coping with grief. And one of the first things is make a plan. How do you make a plan? Create a plan about what you do to to make the holiday and who you would normally be with. Let go of what you or others think you should do and focus on what you need. A plan can help manage feelings of dread and help you feel more prepared. Make sure the plan is respectful of your energy and your feeling. A plan to cope with grief can include things you've always done or something different. So you're going to make a plan of how to deal with it. You're not going to just decorate your house black, put up your black curtains, get in the chair, sit in the corner, and just die, because you still have to live. And we're not making light of it, because I lost a brother when he was 19. My foster mother died of breast cancer, and my biological mom has been dead now for 2 years. So everybody grieved differently. My level of grieving may not be Apostle's level of grieving, because it depends on how close you were to the person, how much you love the person, how much you did together. So my grieving is not the same as Apostle that lost her mom, because me and my mom didn't have the best relationship, but I still miss her. Every now and then I think about, what we could have been doing for Thanksgiving, or would we be going over there to visit her for Christmas because she was sick. So everybody's grieving is different. So don't feel bad about how you grieve, but know how to handle it when you're grieving, and always include prayer in your plan of action while you're grieving. All right. So the first one was make a plan. Blessings to you, overseer. The second one is consider the needs of those around you, especially if you have little children. If there are children in the family, remember that they tend to rely on you being consistent. So even if a parent has died, that might still be a way to celebrate the holidays. However, you choose to observe the holiday. Understand that it will never be the same, but you have to now live for your children. So your holidays will never be the same, especially if you have small children. So now you have to live for those children. You have to put your energy into those children, because it's not fair to them that you grieve so much so where they ask you something, you snapping on them. Or when they come in your presence, you want to get out. Just leave me alone. I don't feel like being bothered. Go ask whoever, especially if they depend on you and you are their main source. Okay, so you're going to consider the children and those around you. Number 3, realize grief is unique. Each person experiences grief in their own way. It is important to understand that family members may have different needs during this time. The actual day may or may not be as bad as you imagine once you face it. For some, the anticipation of the day is harder. For others, the aftermath is harder. So which way is harder? Which way is harder for you? Was it after the death, or was it the anticipation of getting ready to face the holiday without that person? So some of us grieve worse. So once the person is buried, we go on throughout our day. You know how they say, some people don't never check on us no more after the person is dead. So after the person is gone, they buried, the funeral is over, the repast is over, church is over, and you going on about your business, and you never check on me again. It tends to be worse after the funeral, because now you're sitting by yourself. Now there's those times where you're thinking about, I know for a long time I heard my mother casket close in my ear when they asked us to close the casket down. And those are the times when that thing took my breath away. Just closing the casket down, knowing that you would never ever see this person again. So all of these things played in my mind during this time. All right. So realize that grief is unique. Whatever your grief is, it is unique. But I want you to stay flexible. Number 4, keep your plan as flexible as simple as possible. There may be times when you need to skip certain activities depending on how you or your family members are feeling. in response to invitations. Let people know that you'll need to see how you're feeling on the day of the event, as you may or may not be up to it. Don't feel pressured to overcommit yourself. Don't feel pressured to overcommit yourself. So it's okay to tell your family and friends, give me a few minutes. I might not be down with everybody else. I used to get on my bestie about that all the time, but I understand it more now in her older days, especially after you losing her mom. Sometimes she may not want to engage with everybody else, but I give her a certain amount of time. You got an hour, you got 2 hours, you got 3 hours, but you're not going throughout this whole day and you gonna be in the bed. You ain't showered, you ain't brushed your teeth, you ain't got up, you just in the bed crying, crying, crying. Not to sound harsh, it's not going to bring the person back, but now you have to figure out, how am I going to live now if this person is not here? Depression is real. All right. It is a real reality. Make time for your feelings and self-care. This is very important. Make time for your feelings and self-care. I was talking to somebody and I can't remember who it was. And they said to me, I'm just busy, busy, busy because I don't want to think about Christmas is coming. So I'm doing whatever I can to take my mind off it because I know that my mom is not going to be here anymore. But you have to take time to deal with those feelings, because if you keep on doing so much and being so busy, when it's all over, you're going to be too tired to deal with those feelings. So it is important to acknowledge that you need time and space for your feelings. They are likely to arise. Be sure to include self-care in your plan. Sometimes it means taking a nap, taking a warm bath, drinking some warm milk, going for a walk, eating good foods. Journaling is a good way to express what you feel. Journaling is a good way. Finding ways to remember your loved one during the holidays gives everyone permission to acknowledge the loss and provides a way to continue the relationship with the loved one, even though they are not here anymore. So you have to make sure that you make time for yourself. And my last thing is grief support. It is very important that you have someone in your corner that supports you. I'm quite sure if my bestie wasn't living here with me and I wasn't constantly on her, I think that she wouldn't be where she is now, because grief would have overtook her. I think a lot of her anxiety and her panic attacks and things that she's dealing with, it's coming from grief. And as I begin to study it and look at it, even thinking back on Sunday, and she probably don't even realize it, because sometimes it's in our internal mind and we're not thinking about it in our conscious mind, that seizures occur and different things begin to happen when you're grieving. You'll get through this time. You will get through this with time, even when it's painful. Joining a group, talking to your pastor, talking to your leaders. Let your leaders say that it's too much. Yes, we are all going through something. Yes, we are all faced with obstacles, but our job is to still put that to the side and be able to minister to you, and then come back and say, okay, now that I dealt with them, let me deal with me. If you feel that is too much for your leader, then get some therapy. Therapy is very important in this hour where we are facing. Therapy is important, because if not, you will snap on somebody. If not, you'll go off on somebody. If not, you're going to start being short with people. You're going to be short tempered. Everything's going to get on your nerves. So it's very important that you get some therapy. And if you have a good therapist like Apostle and my daughter do, I love to listen to her talk to them, because she makes you feel like you matter. What you're going through matter. Get with someone that makes you feel like you matter, and it's important while I am going through my grieving period. But you know what I found out? We have to let someone be there. We're so used to handling things on our own. We're so used to making decisions on our own. We're so used to dealing with stuff on our own, so we don't let anybody else be there for us. And then when it happened, we'd be like, oh, I didn't know that. And then most people say, because I didn't want to burden you. How do you know it was a burden unless you told me? Unless I told you, I mean. How do you know that it was too much for me to handle unless I told you it was too much for me to handle? That's why I'm very careful at my time of going through who I share it with, especially my members, because if they feel like, okay, my leader is going through, I'm not going to burden her with this, or I'm not going to go to her and talk to her. Let us say when it's too much, or whoever your leader is, don't make that decision for them. Let them tell you that it's too much. So that's what I want to say to you about grief. It is okay to grieve. It's how you handle it while you're grieving. You cannot die and shut the world out because you are grieving. You have to come up with a plan and a solution to figure out How am I going to deal with this grieving? Especially if it's been longer than 5 years and you're still grieving the same way, then you need to go and get help, because there's something that's being blocked that you are not allowing to heal, or you don't want it to heal, or you're comfortable with that crutch. So that's something that you have to examine within yourself. The first 5 years is always the hardest. I don't care in whatever aspect of life it is. If it's in ministry, if it's in marriage, if it's in whatever it is, if you can make it through those first 5 years, then it's supposed to get a little easier. You should not be at the same place at 10 years that you were at 6 months ago. All right?
This young lady said she lost her mother 3 years ago, and it does get better, based on what you were saying, that it shouldn't find yourself.
Yes, it does. It does get better. You have to want it to get better. Some people are so comfortable in their, we talked about pity. Some people are so comfortable in their pity and people pitying them. Oh, what's wrong? Come here, baby. It's gonna be all right. And at some point, you have to be there to encourage somebody else. If we are always encouraging if we are always encouraging you, when do you encourage somebody else? You want to read before I go back over the coping points?
Okay, so these are just some of the comments that came in while Apostle's been talking about knowing how to grieve. Many people know they're supposed to grieve, but not many people know how to grieve. And so this Miss Shira said she lost her mom 3 years ago, and it does get better. So I say to you, I salute you. My mom, I guess it's about 3 years now, and I'm not where I was. I'm not where I was. But I still, this year was that year when I was like, where's mommy? Like, why? So for those of us who are dealing with things like that, we have to know that, as we tell people, that we are not to cry as those who have no hope. Understanding that we serve a God and we say that we believe and we trust God. So we have to let that manifest itself. When Apostle Arma hugged me, it's comforting to me, especially when you're going through. I'll continue to do so. I love the hug.
Did you read the other one?
Which one?
You highlighted it, but I don't think we read it, did it? Did we? The one before that one. Yes, that one. What did she say?
I just try to remember that my mother loved, because I had such a short time with her.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see that one. Okay.
And that would be you, because even though your biological mom was around, your relationship didn't really start kicking off until the end.
Until the end, almost until her deathbed. So I really didn't get a chance to know who my mom was. She loved on everybody else, all of my other brothers and sisters, and we didn't have that perfect relationship. And as she went transition, I understood why. I just wish I had known before then why, but sometimes we can't get it back. We just have to move forward and keep going.
Bless you, man of God. Or woman of God. Man of God. Okay. It's comforting when okay.
You read that one?
I lost my mom 20 years ago, and I have good days and bad days.
See, there is no number. There's no number to who can tell you when you're supposed to have those good and bad days. That's why they're called good and bad, but they shouldn't be as worse as it was from day one.
You shouldn't be at 20 years where you were at 1
year. Yes. So there's you're going to always miss that person because they're not around anymore. You're going to always miss that person because what you used to do, you didn't. I picked up the phone to call my mother. Then I had to remember she's not here no more, because I would pick up the phone and say Happy Thanksgiving or Happy Birthday or Merry Christmas or whatever the case is. And I'm quite sure we all handle it differently, but there's nothing like coping with grief. We have to know, especially as Bible-based believers, we have to know that our strength comes from God. Our strength comes from the word. Our strength comes from prayer. It's not going to be easy, but that's where our strength is going to come from. And that's why I said to Apostle, we need to talk about this, because tonight, as we were in Bible study and Elder Tanasia was walking home, somebody jumped off a cliff. We don't know what they was facing. We don't know if it was grief. We don't know if they couldn't provide for their children. That's another thing in this holiday season. Not only grief, parents are really hurt behind the fact that they can't do for their children. But if you don't talk to somebody, how are we supposed to know? I tell my members this all the time. I don't want to have to get to church on Sunday and prophesy to know that you need something for your house. Well, you could just pick up the phone and tell me, listen, Apostle Arma, Apostle Wyatt, I don't have it. My children need, my family need. We don't have food. We don't have. It's nothing more worse than on a Sunday morning for the apostle to have to come and see, or throughout the week for the Lord to say, oh my God, you need to go check on so and so because they're not gonna call you, but they need food in their house. That's so unfair because then you make the prophetic work overtime. I don't always want to have to see in the prophetic. I want my members or my children or whoever to be comfortable enough to come to me and say, we need you. I need you. We need this. Do you have that? The only two things we can say is yes or no. Either we do or we don't. Nobody never died from those two answers. At least I don't think so anyway. So you have to give us that choice to decide. But this is the holiday season. Christmas is worse than Thanksgiving. Is worse than Easter. Is all of that because this is the time of the year where we give gifts to one another. And when you cannot give a gift to that loved one or that person, it bothers you. I told my children, y'all have more children than a little bit. So your children is now in the place of your gifts. So you might get one gift, but now your children is going to get the gifts that you're supposed to get because now there's more of them than you. So this year I did not kill myself trying to make sure that we have a whole bunch of extra stuff. As long as everybody gets something, that's what matters. So I want to encourage you. I don't know who this is for, but I know it's here because I feel it heavy in my spirit. You don't have to go out of your way to break your neck when you are a parent 24/7. You are not only a parent just December 24th or 5th. You are a parent 24/7, and you should teach your children that it's not only one special holiday that I'm a parent to you, but I'm your parent 24/7. So if I got it, you got it. If I don't, then they should understand because it has not always been like this.
So loving what Apostle is, I could just listen to her. Love for her to share. She doesn't think she's good at it, but she's wonderful at it. But she's right. And like you're saying, we have far extremes. So we have two people in here who lost their mom 3 years ago. Well, 4, counting us. And then you got someone who lost their mom 20 years ago, and they're still, who's this?
Elder Flat.
Nothing like a mother's love. My mom died at the age of 37. I was 15 years old. It's been 22 years since she's passed, and it still feels like yesterday. And this is what we're saying. Now, we're not telling, and we never want it to be perceived that we're saying, all right, now that's enough. You ain't got no business grieving. What we're saying is at 22 years, you shouldn't still feel the same sting of the first year. Like each year, God should be giving you the grace, to go on. It's not easy. I'm telling you, when the moments come, it's not like I was sitting around saying, oh, I wonder if this is going to be when I think about my mother. No, there are different things that happen that take me to my mom. I just said something to God about my mom the other day. Like, she was that person. She was my first go-to outside of my bestie, and she would hear me. She would tell me when I was wrong, but she would still hear her daughter, and so like you, Pastor Flag, when I went to go call her on that first Good Mother's Day, it was done because that's when it hit home. I hadn't cried or anything from the time she passed on to planning her services to being at the services, preaching her service. It did not even do that to me until that, because she died in March and Mother's Day was in May. And it was just a done deal for me. I just was done with God and everybody else, just done.
And that's what this young man is saying. I'm not sure his title. Mother's Day is the worst for him. So again, as I said in the beginning, there's no set holiday where it's the worst. Mother's Day tends to be the worst because everybody's saying Happy Mother's Day to their mother. and you can't say Happy Mother's Day to yours, or everybody's giving their mothers gifts, and you have those mothers that you adopt, but it's nothing like your biological mother, your biological father, your sister. Like I said, I lost my brother when he was 18. I lost my foster mom. She died from breast cancer. And then I lost my biological mom, and it's only been 2 years. So I understand grief, but we must remember these tips for coping with grief. I want you to write it down. I want you to go back and view it. I want you to understand that you can cope with grief. One of the first things that we have to learn how to do is give it to God. We have to learn how to pray in order to get through it. Elder Tanasia says,
and this is the young lady. She just recently lost several members of her family. And so today, walking home, minding her business, the person who was walking just ahead of her jumped off the bridge and took their life. You know, you never know. We keep saying to people, don't assume that everything is all right just because people are smiling. There was something drove that person to go through with it. It got beyond the thought, and they actually committed the act. And so now she had to call the police, and she had to report it so that they could send a search team out, because it's dark, you know. And so we don't know how that person landed, where they landed. All she saw was the jump. And so it triggered, as you can see tonight.
Good evening,
that
Sister
person
Love.
Jumping off the bridge like that, you know, it was her first time ever experiencing it. So we had to call and talk to her, you know, make sure that she was good, because you just think that you're the only one going through some time, and then you notice something like that. Who would have imagined somebody not that many feet in front of you just jumping off the bridge? Like, you didn't have time to even say, oh, like it just happened, you know. And so this holiday time, we keep telling people, please check on folk. Like Apostle said earlier in the day about funerals, and I say it all the time, you don't have to worry about people when the person first dies. Everybody at your house.
Yes.
Everybody wants you to have their food. Everybody want to make sure you know you're there. But that next day, after you have buried that person and you're alone and faced to deal with that fact, that's when you need the people. I needed more people after than I did before.
Yes, because you're around a whole bunch of people. It's you're at the repast, the funeral, the repast, then they come into your house to check it. But by the time the third day, you like, where everybody go? What happened to those people? But I wanna encourage you before we read the rest of these comments. Coping tips are important. The first one I gave, I want you guys to write it. It's prayer. All right. After you pray, you have to have a plan. It is important that you create a plan to figure out, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to help my children get through this? Because believe it or not, it affects the children sometimes more than it affects us. And they internalize it, and they don't know how to say, I'm dealing with this. All right. And then you're going to realize that grief is unique. Every person experiences grief differently. Your grief is not like my grief. It is not the same. All right. Stay flexible. Do something. Don't just sit around and wallow in it. Get up. Do something. Move about. Do some exercise. Do whatever it is to make sure that it's done. All right.
You said you want to read that before this?
Go ahead.
Okay. And so to Shanae, missionary, I call her Shay. She said that, you know, this is the first year. It's been a lot for her physically and mentally, and not being able to do for her kids. Chrissy, which is the young lady, always says it's okay. You know, she understands, but she doesn't think that she's, you know, really, she don't want her to grow up with ill feelings because she doesn't have. She says Shane is already taken care of because of his godfather. And so hearing that, you know, we'll continue to say, just let us know. Y'all are with us every week, and we're your leaders for a reason. He said he gave you pastors after his own heart. And so since you're with a specific ministry, those pastors are people that you're supposed to be able to go to. And I know, like Apostle said, you guys are always saying, well, you know that we have a lot on us, but that's our job. We okay. Give us an opportunity to say it's too much. If we're not saying it, you allow us to do what God has graced us to do. That is why he has put each person with their said pastor because they are graced to handle those things that come along with it. And Pastor Lawrence said, missed it? Did I go past it?
Sometimes God will give you the grace to dream.
Where you see that at?
I read what he said. It's over there, right here.
Oh. Pastor Lawrence said sometimes the Lord will be kind and let you dream about your loved one. I had that experience last night.
Bless your life.
Pastor,
that's why he was kind to you.
Oh my goodness.
Sometimes I dream about Mother Dixon too, and I could never understand why the Lord would allow me to dream. And I guess because, there it is, I was missing her so much I would dream about her. So yes, that is true. He will allow you to dream about them, and sometimes those dreams just let you know that I'm okay.
Long as they don't talk to me.
And you okay.
Long as they don't talk to me.
Pastor Lawrence, I don't want to know what she asked you to dream.
Long as they don't talk to me. You see these movies and these people coming back from the dead showing up, just to encourage them and tell them that they're going to be all right. Yeah, no, I'm good. I miss my mom, but I know that she's in a better place. And, I can talk to God about that. But I have dreamt about my mom. And it was so real one night that I did wake up and answer her. You know what I'm saying? It's like you could hear them talking, but you just get up with the answer. And that thing did something to me. That did something to me. But God deals with us, like Apostle said, in our own unique ways. Everybody has their way of dealing with. Some people are very emotional. So I don't care who it is. It could be Sally down the street. If it meant something to them, if they meant something to that person, they're going to do the same. They're just emotional beings. And then there are others who feel like them being that vulnerable is a burden. If they are really vulnerable, then that means that they're being a burden to someone because they're taking too much time from somebody else. And again, you have to be able to allow that person to say as such. And again, Jesus and therapy work well for me.
It's my shirt, y'all.
Jesus my shirt. And therapy. It's not that we don't trust our leaders. Sometimes we feel like, I've said often that we feel our leaders are saying things just because they have to, because they're your leader and they're supposed to encourage you, but that's not facts at all. But at the same time, when you're going to a therapist who knows absolutely nothing about you or the people you worship with, there's a freedom that comes along with your conversation that allows you to be who you are at that moment. With my therapist, it was like, boom, like, God, you did this one, because between my ESA and my therapist, I'm doing pretty good right now. My therapist never makes me feel like this terrible person for where I am in my thought process. And then other times she has, encouraged a long time. Something that my bestie don't like, and I do that. So I have to monitor it, because my bestie, she be barging in saying, what you doing? Yeah, coming.
Appreciate
all the people you have in your life.
Absolutely, because they here today and they gone today. They don't last. They don't stay around forever. My brother told us Sunday we gotta die.
Everybody gotta die.
So we going one way or the other. So appreciate those that's around you, because you never know whom it might be.
I just want to be raptured, Pastor. I just want to be raptured. Somebody prophesied and told me my body wouldn't hit the grave, so we'll see. Elder Catrice says, yes, it's traumatizing, and always realize what stage you are in grief. Go ahead, because
I was coming.
There it is.
I was coming, but I'm gonna go back to her. But let's.
She's gonna come back to you, because that is factual. Most people deal with it in a ball, but it's not.
That's right.
So Apostle's gonna go back to that. So Tanasia is just writing down your steps to coping tips.
Yes.
She said number 1 is prayer.
Yes.
Okay. Overseer Hayes said, honey, I'm like, where they at? It ended up being our job to check on them. Facts. I'd have to agree with that. You're wondering where they are. That's what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And you're wondering where everybody where's all the people that showed up on day 1?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to call them to make sure they're okay.
Yes.
That's what he's saying. So that's real. Tika said your second point was grief is unique.
Yes.
And I'm going to make sure we get everybody's. prayer is important.
Yep. And
Grief is
journaling.
unique. And get a support circle and get therapy.
Yes, support circle and therapy.
That's a good suggestion, Elder. Me too. I had a dream. I saw my grandmother. I see dead people. You
Not
look,
I
y'all.
need
I'm telling
conversation.
you.
Just don't pull on me. Don't pull on me and don't talk to me. Bishop Hayes, I'm good. I don't need neither one, sir. I'm good. But grief is very important. So I want to go back to Elder Catrice when it talked about grief in stages. There are many different stages that you go through. There are intense sadness and feeling of emptiness or loss. There's numbness, disbelief about the loss, making it hard to accept. There's difficulty concentrating and making decisions in our daily life. There's changes in your appetite, eating more or less than usual. Disturbed sleep patterns such as insomnia or sleeping too much. Withdrawal from social interaction and loss of interest in activities once enjoyed.
Amen, Simile.
Physical symptoms like headaches, stomach ache, or no appetite at all. If you are grieving, you are not alone. Everyone experiences the emptiness and isolation of grief from time to time in life. Grieving marks the beginning of adjusting to a new reality without the one you love. Often a helpful way to move forward after a loss to allow yourself to go through the stages of grieving and using coping strategies like seeking a creative outlet or connecting with family members. In addition, church services, prayer, hospice with other families, loved ones. These are just some stages that we all go through when we are grieving. So there are all of those steps that you go through. No one step is the same. We don't grieve the same. We don't all have the same appetite. All of us go through different phases. So whatever phase you are in, I still say get you some therapy. It is okay to go through a therapist, and not all the time do it have to be your leader, because sometimes your leader need a therapist. So you have to pick and choose. So I need to go to my leader, and most of the times if your leader is real, your leader gonna say to you, this is too much for me. I think that you should go get you an outside therapist, somebody that can really, really help you. That's what they get paid to do, to help you. All right. So those are the different phases that we go through when we are grieving. So just in case you didn't know, if you are experiencing any of those and you have just lost a loved one or lost a loved one and haven't been able to cope with it, those are some things that you would experience and you will feel as you are going through your grieving process. But I want to say to everybody, it's okay to grieve. Just don't die while you're grieving. It's okay to grieve, but don't stay there. Get up. Get you a support system. Get with somebody that's going to hold you accountable and say, nope, you can't die here today. You got to get up from here, because you have to live in spite of where you are, especially if you have small children. All right. What's this one?
Bishop.
Oh, that's the one.
He said, I had that issue. As a leader, we get taught to save face. And when everyone thinks you're strong and anointed, where do I go? Not wanting to be a burden on other people. But like you said, we have to give people the opportunity to be there for us. And it's real. I, with Apostle, always say, we've been saying for the last couple of months, Jesus and therapy. Your leaders, they have something that they can offer you. They can offer you the scriptures of comfort. They can offer you the scriptures of bearing one another. They can offer you solutions.
I could pray if I can't do nothing else, Lord even God, in my most worst state. God, all right, Lord I'm gonna God, pray you through, huh?
Lord God,
He gonna carry us
through. So, your leaders, like I said, God has given us pastors after His own heart, and so therefore there is something that your leader can give to you. But sometimes it's not enough. It depends on how deep into this thing you are. If you're a person who never had to deal with grief before, and all of a sudden, boom, now everybody just start leaving, you're more times than not going to not just need your leader. You're going to need your leader and then some, somebody that can tell you from a perspective that you don't feel, because it's sad to say, but it's a reality. We think that, not everybody, there are those who think, let me thank you, Father. There are those who think that your leader or your parents are only saying what they're saying because that's who they are, not because they really have that answer of resolve for you, or they really believe in what they're telling you to do. You have to give your leader, and it's harder when it's your children that you have to, counsel, because they are still your children and your member. So you have to be able to do so, but also be willing to say, this is a lot for me. You know what? I don't want to steer you down the wrong, because I'm probably still bleeding myself. So, I'll refer you, because I'll refer people to therapists in a minute. And I don't care who talks about it, because the therapist is getting paid to do what they do. And there was a physician amongst the disciples, which lets me know that in some form, shape, and fashion, we needed medical attention. And so God was very strategic with everyone he picked, and therefore that is why he has pastors after his own heart, and that is why healing be your portion so that you can be made whole. And the only way you could do that is deal with all of you, not just the part that's convenient. You have to be able to deal with all of you. You have to be vulnerable enough to allow someone else in so that they can help you. If your attitude is one of everybody's trying to get at you, or nobody means you no good, it would be hard for you to receive that which is trying to be given, because you already have your preconceived thoughts going on, and it gets in the way of what God has already sent toward you.
So I want to encourage everybody, and I'm done for the night. Therapy is okay. Take these coping skills that I have given you tonight and try to deal with them. Everybody should have a journal. Everybody should have that place, because when you can't talk about it, you can write about it. Even in my prophetic classes, I tell everybody, when you dream and you don't understand it, God has given me that ability the most times that I can interpret what you're dreaming. And so it's important that you write these dreams down, that you talk about them, and so that you are able to deal with grief in a different way. So we should find ourselves not in the same place where we grieve when we was 1 year versus 20 or 25 years. So I want to encourage you, if you find yourself stuck, because some of us just are stuck and don't know how to get out of the grieving process. And we've tried to do it on our own. We tried to say, you know what, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to try to do this. I miss my mom. I miss my dad. I miss my brother or my sister, whomever it may be. And I just cannot get out of this. No matter how many years it has been, you should go talk to someone, because it's not healthy for you and nobody else that's around you. So I encourage you tonight, do these coping skills. And if you can't find yourself coming up out of this, then you should go and get you some therapy or some help, somebody that can point you in the right direction. But that's not going to let you stay where you are, but encourage you to get up and live, because you have life to live for more than just you.
And always know that God is in grief. He's present in grief.
Yes.
He doesn't choose that time to just drop you and let you go. He's present in grief. It's will we allow our hearts to remain soft enough to receive that which God wants to love on us with. Sometimes, depending on who the individual is that we lost, whether, as I said in the very beginning, it's not always death. It could be a relationship that ended. It could be a relationship between mother, daughter, father, son, boyfriend, girlfriend, marriage, whatever. That death is an end of a thing. And so many of us grieve in different ways. And so we have to understand that still, yet God is present in our grief, and that he does promise healing, and that he promises hope for the future. And so we don't have to mourn like life is just over for us. We just need to have God to give us the grace to get through it.
The grace
the grace to get through it. I was just saying Sunday, even before the seizure, I was like, I couldn't walk all week without falling, but God graced me to get through praise and worship, and I don't take that for granted. But he understands that I need worship, and so he graces me. And so even in our time of grief, God graces us for that time. And so I promise you, you'll be all right. You can get through this. God has everything yet in control. There are scriptures you can read, Psalm 34 and 18. God is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Matthew 5 and 4, blessed are those who mourn, for they'll be comforted. Psalm 147 and 3, he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Isaiah 41 and 10, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my victorious right hand. Revelation 21 and 4 says he will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. So we want you to know that God is in everything that happens in your life. The good, the bad, and the ugly. God is a part of every bit of it, because unless he ordains it, it will not come to pass. If he doesn't give the permission, it cannot be done. So though things are formed towards us, what was promised to us was that it would not prosper. Didn't say it wouldn't form. It indicated specifically that it would form. But one thing for sure, it won't prosper. And I say to some people all the time, you had the permission,
but you didn't have the power.
You ain't had the power.
And that's right. So let's remember our coping skills. Let's remember that we are entitled to go through. It's how we deal with it when we're going through. And please remember, if I can't stress it no more, it's okay to grieve. It really is okay, but you should not be grieving the same way you were 1 to 25 years. Okay, there's no time on grieving, but it shouldn't be as bad when you started in the beginning as that first year at year 25. So I want to encourage you to take these coping skills and do what needs to be done. So I want to put a plug right here and invite you to our black and white ball on Sunday, the 22nd at 5 o'clock in the city of New Jersey on Bergen Street at Congregational Baptist Church. The tickets are $25. If you get it by Saturday, it's $25. If you wait till Sunday, it goes up to $45. Come and be with us. We have some great food on the menu. We have pepper steak, barbecue chicken, pineapple chicken, baked macaroni and cheese, collard greens, macaroni salad, tar salad. Yes, I said macaroni and cheese.
Doing the Rasta pasta.
Rasta pasta, Swedish meatballs. There's a lot of things that's going to be on the menu. Banana pudding, peach cobbler, cakes, and pineapple upside down cupcakes. I'm going to do a pineapple upside down cupcakes, and those are going to be our desserts. Come out and be with us on the 22nd. If you can't come, buy a ticket for some white ball as I was going to say, the live just stopped. This is a popcorn can that I made for Apostle with her personalized picture on it. It's a popcorn can. It has 3 different popcorns on the inside, and it is $25. If you want one, you can get one with your personalized picture. Guess what? You don't have to get popcorn in it. You can get any items that you want. You just have to let me know what you want inside of the can. And the can is $25.
And this type can will be at the table when you come in on Sunday. You can go. We're going to be raffling off a can, and it won't have popcorn. It's going to have a whole lot of different gadgets. It's going to have candy, chips, popcorn, oils, maybe one of these great tumblers that my bestie makes. Maybe. It's no telling what's going to be on there. And so we invite you. You can get the raffles are $2. If you want an arm's length, it's $10. $2 for a single, $10 for arm's length, and it's going to be for the can. For those of you who are still decorating your trees, my bestie, all I said was, could you do this? And she did it. So our entire Christmas tree has these kind of bulbs. They're memoirs. We got our parents, we got our kids, we got our kids. Our whole tree is nothing but bulbs like this. And so you can get yours done for
$10.
I can remember. I'm sorry. You can get yours done for $10. But guess what? Not if you don't do it by Sunday, because she needs time to prepare it. It's not just sitting around waiting to just go on. We need your picture.
And that does not include shipping. If I have to ship it to you at this late
Especially
hour,
that can.
I don't know if you're going to get it by Christmas, but just in case, it's $7 for
It's
shipping.
$10 for this size.
For shipping? Oh, I'm talking about for this.
Oh, no, I'm talking
and
about
the can is $10. Thank you, Elder Catrice. So if you see something and you want it, let us know. Thank you for those that stayed to the end. We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for coming on.
For
thank you to all of those pastors, bishops, overseers that joined us tonight. We are all grieving. We are all going through. But I promise you, the Father is going to carry us through. He will carry us through. We just got to be encouraged. And remember, it's okay to grieve. It's how you handle it while you are grieving. And we definitely are going to be praying for you as you pray for us, as we are all going through some type of loss this holiday season. But we know that God is able, and I'm going to be in the kitchen cooking. So that's going to help my therapeutic. That's going to help me be therapeutic as me and my bestie is in the kitchen. And we're going to be cooking. Not pineapple upside down. Yeah, I'm going to do the cupcakes. I'm going to do the cupcakes this time. The pineapple upside down cupcakes. Banana pudding, peach cobbler. And we're going to have, yeah.
And so we also want you to, just when you think about everything we said tonight and you remember the family members, pray for the family members who are going to wake up tonight, tomorrow, and realize this person is never coming back home. It's going to take till tomorrow before they realize they're not coming back tonight. So pray for the family of the love of the young person who jumped over that bridge. All right?
All right, guys, we are ending. We try not to go over too long. We try not to stay too long. Just say what we got to say. Get to the point. Elder Catrice says she loves you. Get to the point and do what needs to be done. We will see you all down on this end on Sunday morning at 12 o'clock. Guess what? If you're looking for a church home, we have 2 locations. We have one in Allentown at 108 North 5th Street, and we have one in Newark at 525 North 5th Street, and we have 525 Orange Street, and we have one in Orange, New Jersey, and my brother and sis address is 3.
I thought it was 770.
668 Forest Street. 668 Forest Street. So those are the 3 churches that I know of that are represented here. And we have 227. Minister Malik is on 227 Martin Luther King Drive in Jersey City. So there's churches all around you. Get there. New Year's is coming. 10 o'clock watch night service. Find yourself at one of those locations. Thank you. I knew I was going to get it. Find yourself at one of those locations. Go to church, be with somebody, invite somebody to one of your church services. We love you. Remember, it is important that we learn how to cope when we are going through grief. We love you all. Continue to be blessed and have a good night. Sister in love, I love you real big. Love you real big. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you for this time. Father, we praise you and we honor you for allowing us to go through this session. Now, kind God, we pray tonight that somebody is watching that is grieving. Father, somebody is hurting. Somebody is in pain. Father, let them be around someone that loves them, someone that don't have this holiday season. Let us be able to bless them. We thank you and we praise you for what you are doing in our lives, even as we are going through our time of grieving. Father, we pray that you would give us strength. We thank you for each and every one that was on this live tonight. Bless them in abundance is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen. Also, before we go, on Monday nights, my sister in love has their show that comes on and they are live. My mind is blank. Lend Me Your Ear at 8 o'clock. You can find their page on Mondays as well if you're looking for another outsource. And we are here every Wednesday at 9:15. We love you, Apostle Jessica. We are praying for you on the loss of your uncle, I believe that it was. We are praying for you. Apostle Hester hit us up today, and I just remembered. So we're going to keep the Hesters in our prayer as they are traveling from North Carolina to New York. We love you all. Have a good night.